Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Carolyn, and this video is going to be my everyday drugstore makeup routine video. These are all of the base products that I use every time I do my makeup. Outside of eyeshadow, because I do something a little bit different pretty much every time I do my eyeshadow, but I kind of stick to the same routine for my face, like for my base, for everything else. So this is just that video. This is what that video is going to be, is just my makeup routine. And everything is drugstore or drugstore price point. I'm kind of doing this video for my friend who is just getting into makeup and would like some guidance on how to do her makeup. So I'm mostly making this for her, but I thought it might be helpful to other people as well. But yeah, just keep that in mind that this is kind of catered towards beginners. But if you are curious in what products I use and how I apply my face makeup and how I got this look, then just keep on watching. Just going to clip my hair back, put a little bit of lip balm on. I like to do this before I start my makeup. And I've already put my sunscreen on. Today I'm using this. I just got it from Amazon. It's the Cynic. I don't know how you say it. It's a K-beauty brand sunscreen. And this is my third or fourth day using it. And I really like it. I had been using this from CeraVe. I've gone through so many bottles of these CeraVe ones, but I wanted to try something different because those were getting really expensive, and I've heard a lot of good things about like K-beauty sunscreens because they have more advanced filters, UV filters from what I hear. I don't really know. I'm not a chemist or a dermatologist, but I've heard a lot of people say that their UV filters are more advanced. And I will say, cosmetically, it does seem a little bit more advanced. Like, my eyes aren't stinging. So with sunscreens, like, if they don't leave a white cast, they usually sting. So yeah, I haven't found one that doesn't leave. This is the first one I found that doesn't leave a white cast and it doesn't sting or anything. So I use it around my eyes. I use it everywhere. So far I really like it. I will have it linked down below. I will link everything, try to link everything I'm mentioning or using in the description box. Nothing is affiliated, but yeah, I'll link this down below. But yeah, so I like to prep my skin first. I use a cleanser, just a very basic cleanser, and then Peach Slice's acne toner, I think it is. It has lactic acid, salicylic acid, and BHA, and I'll pop up a picture of it. And then I put on my sunscreen, and that's all I do. I have oily skin, so yeah. Anyway, on to the actual makeup. I'm going to start off with this Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer. It's a gripping primer, and I like to do this. This is going to be like a routine I'll do if I want my makeup to last all day. And I like gripping primers because they make my makeup last all day. Another good primer from the drugstore is this Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. It just makes for a smooth application. It's not silicone, but it's like a silicone. It's silicone free, but it applies very much like a silicone. You see there, it's very silicone-y, so it just makes a smoother, helps you get a smoother application. So if that's what you're looking for, I do like this Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. But this is the Sheer Envy from Hard Candy. And so this is a little bit interesting because it's kind of sticky. And that's like the whole point, is it's supposed to grip your makeup. So it kind of, I don't know if you can see it, it's sticky. So and I just press it in. And I live in, so I have oily skin. I live in Arizona in the valley where it's hot right now, super hot, and everything melts off. So, with this makeup routine though, my makeup doesn't melt off. So, usually, I mean, if I'm gonna be all out all day, probably it would, but that's just not my life because I don't I don't want to be out in 110-degree weather all day. So, but it lasts if I'm like running errands and stuff like that. So anyway, then I like to use this Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I have two different shades and I mix them together. I have light, medium, and fair. So I mix these two. I would say if I'm going to choose one or the other, I would choose fair. The shades run a little bit darker, and I just put a little bit on my hand. And so one thing with this was the light shade was not the right shade for me. It was, I swear it was darker than light medium. So just keep that in mind that the shades run dark in this. Okay, so then I take this is a brush I got from Amazon. I use it for my foundation. I'll have it linked down below. I do like it. I will be getting some better brushes at some point, but this is just like what I have. I've been eyeing the BK Beauty brushes. A lot of beauty YouTubers use those brushes, but this works. And I'm just kind of working in sections and like this kind of motion. A lot of people like to use beauty sponges, like beauty blender sponges, or sponges that look like and perform like the beauty blender. I just haven't gotten into that, but it's something that a lot of people enjoy, so something to try out if you're interested. From what I understand, it just gives you like a very smooth looking application, and you can spray your face. I don't have any setting sprays right now. I'm out of everything. I was using the e.l.f. one, but I want to get the Milani Make It Last for an setting spray at the end, because it's supposed to make your makeup last even better. So I do want to get that one, but right now I don't have any. But what I was trying to get at was that a lot of people will spray their face and then go in with a beauty sponge and just it gives like a very airbrush looking, almost seamless application. So if that's something you're looking for, that might be good to try. I feel like I don't mind just using a brush, and so that's what I do. I'm gonna go in with another layer. This is one thing that's nice about this Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator is it's buildable, so you can do like multiple layers. And this part of my makeup routine won't take very long. It's just gonna take longer in this video because I'm talking through everything. But this is like really quick makeup routine. Once you get it down, like it shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. And that's if you choose to do all the steps that I'm doing. I try to bring it down so that I don't have a makeup line. And I just personally, I like to start off with a sheer coverage foundation product and then kind of do a little bit heavier coverage in certain areas. So right now I'm going into the Hard Candy Glamoflauge Full Coverage Foundation. And I kind of like to do this in place of a concealer. But I also kind of do like a similar thing with Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, is where I just kind of put it in these places. And then I'll go in with this brush. This is from a BH Cosmetics brush set. If they still make it, I'll link it below. I didn't like all the brushes in that set, but a lot of the brushes were good. And this one I use for my concealer. Well, I guess this is technically foundation, but I use this the full coverage foundation like you would use a concealer. Just because I don't personally love like full coverage makeup that looks like makeup, kind of heavy on the skin. I prefer like more skin makeup, face makeup that looks more skin-like. I will say though, it never looks like, you can always tell I'm wearing makeup when I'm wearing makeup, but it doesn't look as heavy as when I do a full coverage foundation everywhere. So this is with my base like foundation and concealer. Now I'm gonna do my eyebrows. I have these two eyebrow brushes. So this brush, this is from Wet n Wild, and I like the brush tip better, but I don't like the spoolie. The spoolie is like a little bit too short. I like this spoolie better. You can see it's like a lot bigger, and I get a better application, or I just like this spoolie better, but I like this brush tip better. So ideally you would just want one, but I have both. I just wish that this had a skinnier brush. Like it's a little bit too wide for my preference. You can kind of see the difference. Like this one on the right is a lot bigger. And my preference, I just like to have a little bit more control, I guess. So I go in with eyeshadow right now. I've also liked the NYX micro brow pencil. I like a skinny brow pencil or a brow pen, and NYX makes one of those as well. Those are good options. I just have a lot of eyeshadow, so I just use eyeshadow in my brows. Go in with kind of a lighter taupey kind of shade like this for the front half, and then a darker cool toned brown like this for the outer portion. I know that my friend has the Modern Renaissance palette because I just gave that to her, and that palette, which a lot of other people have that palette, the warm taupe shade I think it is most similar to this one. Makes a good kind of like brow product as well. And then I would also use Cypress Umber for the tail part. But just and you could also just use like a taupey brown shade throughout your brows. I just like doing a little bit more definition at the tail, but you don't have to add the dark brown. You could just do a nice taupey shade or whatever shade you want. You could just do one shade, eyeshadow shade or powder shade or whatever is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I start off here because I don't like to start off right here, because wherever you put your brush first after you pick out the product is where it's going to deposit the most pigment. So that's why I start here and then I work my way here, and I do kind of wiggle it in to the front just to kind of get that powder there, the pigment there. And this shade, it looks really cool toned in the pan, but it does pull a little bit warmer toned than I would like for my brows on the skin, but that's okay. Then I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other brow. And then I'm gonna go into this darker shade here for my tail brow, the tail end of my brow, and I kind of start like at the arch. It looks kind of funny right now, but when I comb it through with the spoolie, it looks a lot more natural. Okay. 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 I'm gonna use both my cream bronzer and a powder bronzer. You could just use one or the other. I'm using the Makeup Revolution bronzer, cream bronzer. I think it's just like in the shade light, or it's the lightest one. And I take it with my Real Tech. This is from Real Techniques. This is one of the brushes in there. And I just do a little bit of like, I do these lines just in the perimeter. So it's one here, here, and here. And I like this formula because I can do this. It gives me time to work it in. Some formulas aren't like that. Some formulas you have to do like section at a time, and you have to, because they'll set really fast. But this one gives you time. So then I take this kind of brush. It's like kind of like a kabuki brush, and this is one I got in the same BH Cosmetics brush set, where I got this one. This was in the same set, and I don't know, this is like a little bit bigger, slightly. I mean, you can kind of see the size of it. So and then I just brush it, kind of blend it in with this. And you could also, this is a part where a lot of people use sponges, so you could do that as well. And yeah, just brush it in, buff it in. But I will do cream bronzer. Oh, and for this part, I rub it up because I don't want the line to come down. I want it to go up, because I'm trying to, this is kind of like my bronzer. It's like I don't contour. I use bronzer, but I like to use it a lot, bronzer, to kind of define my cheeks. So I did the line here from my ear down, basically where the hollows of my cheekbone is, like my cheekbone starts here. I did the line right underneath, and I'm going upwards, because if I go down, it doesn't give the same lifting effect. So I'm brushing upwards. But anyway, I like to use cream bronzer and a powder bronzer if I want my makeup to last all day, because it will help making it last longer. Because for whatever reason, like my bronzer and blush and everything, if I just use powder or just use cream, it'll be gone. So I like to use both. It'll be gone by the end of the day if I don't. But again, I have oily skin, and I live in a place where it's a very hot climate. So doing it this way just helps keep my makeup on for a longer period of time. And then I'm just going to, this is a brush I got in like a Sigma beauty set several years ago, probably like 13 years ago at this point. And this is the only brush that I still have from that set. It's an angled kabuki brush kind of situation. I use it for my cream blushes. And the other ones there was a flat top kabuki brush, and there was a round kabuki brush, kind of like this, except a little bit shorter. And those have already kind of like gone kaput, but I still have this one. So I'm using this ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in Georgette. And ColourPop Super Shock Cheeks are like cream to powders. I kind of use them more as cream brushes, but you don't have to use a powder on top of these. Obviously, like cream products, you don't need to use a powder on top. I just like doing that. I don't like the sticky feeling of creams when they're not set with powder. But part of like the purpose of a cream product is to make your skin like look more dewy and glowy and not powdery. So it's just like what your preference is. I love cream products, but I also set them. And a lot of people love cream products and don't set them. So it's just whatever your preference is. But so I've gotten a good amount on my brush. Not too much, but it's coated. I've coated my brush. and I kind of just do both sides just to get the pigment on both sides. And I start right above where I did my bronzer line. I start right above there, and I go from like my hairline to basically the center of my eye, and that's where I apply it. And but I do the formula of the ColourPop Super Shock products is a really nice formula. It's kind of like a putty type texture, so it's kind of they're pretty interesting. I like the ColourPop Super Shock products, so their Super Shock cheek products are pretty nice. So I would recommend checking those out if you're interested. So at this point, I go in with my setting powder, and I like the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Translucent Setting Powder. I've gone through probably like 5 of these in my life, maybe more actually. I've been using this for years, this setting powder, and I just like it. I just like it a lot. It's not super mattifying. I'm going in with this Sigma all over powder brush. I just got this is actually my first time trying this brush. I got it because I was using the setting powder brush that came in this set, and it was just too big. I didn't like that setting powder brush, so I got this one. And this one's, I like it better than that one. I had one that I gave to my sister-in-law. It was the Sephora 55 brush. And that one was my favorite one so far for setting powder. I gave her that one because I got this brush set and I didn't know, so I gave it to her. But this one works okay. Anyway, I'm not sure how I feel about these new Sigma brushes. I'll probably talk about them more in a different video, but yeah, so this is the Sigma F24. I just got this and some eye brushes, and I'm not sure because they feel like plastic. The eye brushes feel like cheaper, kind of cheap. They feel sort of cheap, but I haven't tried the eye brushes yet. This is the first time I'm trying this brush. It's okay, I think. It works fine. I feel like the plastic part is kind of cheap, but I was looking on their website. Sorry, this is a little bit off topic, but I guess their brushes now, they make them so that that the ferrule doesn't break off. With most types of brushes, the ferrule is glued on to the wooden handle, and they can come off. Like it's happened to my cheaper brushes, like my e.l.f. brush. This one, the handle popped off and my husband glued it on for me. But so that happens sometimes, and that's why you want to, when you wash your brushes, want to avoid getting water inside the brush, because these can also, the bristles can also come out. So you want to just wash downwards. But anyway, the Sigma has these new brushes, I guess, where it's like their own patented way of making brushes, where it's plastic, but it's like screwed, or it's not plastic, it's polymer, I guess, but it feels like plastic, but it's screwed in so that they can't break. So I guess that's good. If you want some really sturdy brushes, then Sigma is good, because I've had some of their brushes for like 13 years. Not all of them have lasted that long, but I do have some from a brush that I got a really long time ago. Okay, so my face is set now, and I like this setting powder because it sets my makeup and I don't look too powdery. It's like really hard to overdo it with this powder. Like, it's really easy, it's really user friendly, because I don't really have to think about how much powder I'm using. That sets my face really well. So, and I think it gives like a really nice finish. Personally, I think it gives a nice finish to the face. Okay, so then I do my bronzer, and I'm going to be using this AOA Perfect Studio Perfect in the shade Frappe. And you could use, so this is a brand I think you have to get on their website, on the AOA Studio website, or I think they also sell this brand on Amazon. But their makeup is really affordable on their website. I think most of it's like $1 or something. I got this from a friend on YouTube. So I've never shopped their website, but I've heard that their products are really good. And I do really like this bronzer. If you want to go into the drugstore and get a bronzer, I'm using the e.l.f. complexion brush for my bronzer. There's a lot of bronzer brushes you can use. This is just what I have and what I use. But a lot of people use bronzer brushes that are shaped a little bit more like this. There's just a lot of different brushes you can use for bronzer application. And I wouldn't say e.l.f. is what I would recommend for brushes, because they do tend to break and they're kind of cheap. But if you are on a budget and you don't mind having to glue the ferrule back on to the handle, that's like my biggest issue with e.l.f. brushes, is I've done that. I have to do that with like almost every brush I've gotten from them. So that's the issue, but other than that, they are pretty good. And I usually set my under eyes with this e.l.f. blush brush. I forgot to do that in this video, but I just will set my, this is just a really great setting brush. This is a really great brush for setting your under eyes. It's supposed to be a blush brush, I guess, but I always use it for setting my under eyes. And I also like it. I will also set my T-zone with this brush too. So I do enjoy their brushes, but they're a good option if you're a beginner. Well, just keep in mind that you'll probably have to glue this together at some point in time. Another brand that makes good brushes for the drugstore is Real Techniques. They have a brush set, and I have these two brushes from one of their sets, and I gave one of the brushes in the set, the bristles popped out, but it took a long time. So I would still recommend that set because it still lasted a while, but that did happen. And then the other one, the blush brush, I gave to my sister-in-law, but I still have these two, and I really enjoy these, and I enjoyed those other brushes from the set as well. This one is technically a concealer brush, but you don't have to use brushes for like what they're specifically intended for, like what their label does. I just kind of use brushes in whatever way I feel like it. Yeah, so then I just go in the perimeter of my face, and I try to get it kind of like in as close to my hairline as possible. A lot of people will go like underneath and kind of do like a 3 technique, so it's like here and here, like right at your jawline. But for some reason I can't get that to look right on me. It looks like I just have a makeup line. So but if you have a different shaped jaw than me, it would probably look good. But mine, there's not a lot of differentiation between my jaw and my neck. So yeah, anyway, it just gives me a makeup line, so I don't like to do that. So I'm going to be going in with a powder blush now. And again, this step is optional because I've already done, you can still see the blush I applied earlier, but for the purposes of this video and just wanting to show the most, I'm going to be applying this powder blush. This is a mini. It's basically the size of an eyeshadow, but this is the Milani blush in Luminoso. And if you're looking for drugstore blushes that perform really nicely, look very good on the cheeks, I recommend Milani blushes. They're like luminous, and they give a nice sheen without being too glittery, and I just like the way they apply. And I'm using this brush from that BH Cosmetics brush set, and that's what this one looks like. And I'm doing it basically where I did the cream blush, just kind of a little bit. And I guess I kind of go over my temples just a little bit, and just kind of almost like a C. And again, there's a lot of blushes or brushes you could use for blush. I also used to use this angled brush a lot. I just gave it to a friend of mine, and that was another Sigma brush that I got years ago. So they do, at least their previous ones held up pretty well from Sigma. So okay, so I'm going to now do highlighter, and I have the Essence Pure Nude highlighter, and the packaging is broken, and I've just taped the back of it, and that works fine. The formula on this is really nice. I don't prefer the packaging, but the formula is really good, so I keep using it. And then this is the brush, the smaller one from Real Techniques, in that set that I got. And I go in just here, and again, kind of like that C motion. And on this side, and it just kind of gives a glow to the skin. Just kind of a lit from within glow. And a lot of people will go on the tips of their nose. I don't necessarily, it looks fine on camera, but in person it really accentuates my pores. But a lot of people do their chin and their nose, like here. But just keep in mind that if you have pores, or it doesn't always look the best in person if you have oily skin and big pores and stuff. So but I do think if you have the right highlighter on the cheekbones, it does look really pretty, because I do have texture on my cheeks and stuff, but I feel like you can't really tell with the highlighter. So I really enjoy highlighter, but this one almost is like a dual highlighter blush. So if you don't necessarily need highlighter if you have a luminous blush, but I'm going all out. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of something on my eyes. Now, I don't have, this isn't something I would do every day, because I mostly do, eyeshadow is my thing that I do the most. I don't have, an everyday eyeshadow look, because I'm doing a different look every day, but this could be your everyday eyeshadow look. If you're more of a minimalist with makeup. But so I'm going in with my Ulta Beauty matte eyeshadow primer. This is my favorite eyeshadow primer I've tried so far, and I took a little tiny bit and rubbed it between my fingers, and that's what I have right now. So you just need the tiniest bit. You don't want to put too much on, because it'll kind of defeat the purpose, because the purpose is to kind of make your eyeshadow not crease, last most of the day, or all day preferably, without creasing. And if you put it too much on, it'll cause creasing. So then I'm going to take my bronzer, and I'm going to take a fluffy brush like this, a fluffy eyeshadow brush, and just put that on my eyes, just in my crease and on my lid. You could also use one of the brow products you were using. If you were using a powder brow product, that would work too for this. Or you could even use the blush. I used to do that all the time. I used to just wear blush as my eyeshadow before I got into beauty, makeup, and YouTube and all that. I would just use my blush as eyeshadow, yeah, then you have like a really quick, really easy eye look. And you can just look put together in a very short amount of time. Obviously, I would be doing this a lot faster if I wasn't talking so much during. This probably, yeah, it would take me just about 10 minutes, maybe, if that. If I was in a real hurry, I could probably do it faster. Okay, so then if you want to be a little bit more extra, you get one of these Super Shock shadows from ColourPop. This is in the shade Ritz. I recommend getting one that's like a topper. So this is kind of a topper. By that I mean like not a lot of base pigment. So for example, this is one that has a lot of base pigment, which you could use for what I'm doing anyway. But so this has a lot of base pigment, so it's not really one that you would top over eyeshadows necessarily. But this one you can really top over eyeshadows, and it just gives like a glittery effect. So Ritz is like this, this is Ritz, and then another one like this is Frog and Ice Dream. Those are topper shades. There's a lot of them from ColourPop. I wouldn't go too crazy with these because you could definitely get way too many. I think all you really need is one, if I'm being honest, but they are pretty fun though, so I can see why people get a lot of them. But you see how it just adds a lot of sparkle and shine. So that's obviously an optional step. I feel like if I was a makeup minimalist, I wouldn't even get like an eyeshadow palette. I would just have, you know, bronzer and blush and a Super Shock shadow, and just do that. Just because the bronzer could be like just an everyday like work look, and then this Super Shock on top makes a good like going out evening type look. And then this is another optional step. I'm taking a liner brush. This is from Sigma. This is the E15, and this is my first time using this brush, but I'm taking this liner brush and I'm going to go into this dark brown shade here. Any dark brown shade would work, or black, or whatever dark shade you have that you would want to use as a liner. And I'm just going to just put it up against my eyelashes, the base of my eyelashes. And kind of like smush it in and blend it out as I'm going. You could do like a little flick at the end to give like that winged liner effect. So that's with just doing the eyeliner powder lining. You could also go in with liquid eyeliner. Okay, so then we're almost done. I'm gonna go in with my mascara, and I'm using the Milani Highly Rated Mascara with the stars, with the black tube. When this comes out, there's stuff at the tip, so I just get that off. And just do my mascara. I'm doing the other side now. Okay. And something else you could do, I forgot to do this when I was doing my eye look, is take your highlighter, take either a pencil brush, like this shape, or just a really small brush. I'm gonna use this one. This is also from Sigma. This is the E21, the smudge brush. And you just take your highlighter and just plop it on your inner corner. And it really brightens up that inner corner, brightens up your eyes. I don't know if you can see the difference. Maybe I should try. Oh! Sorry, I just zoomed it in a little. Hopefully. I'm sorry, I waited till just now to zoom in, but zoomed in just a little. And then, so that's the difference. It's really subtle, but I like it, so. Okay. Okay, so I have this Neutrogena color stick in the shade Almond Nude. And I love this. It's pretty much gone. It's basically, I can't roll it up anymore. But it's like my favorite. I need to get another one. It's my favorite nude lip color that I've tried so far. And it's so easy. And this formula is really good. It's like somewhere between a lipstick and a lip gloss, and it's just very comfortable. I was turned on to this from Emily Noel 83, and she calls this the sweatpants of lip products, and I agree. Like, it's just comfortable, no fuss. So yeah, I really like that formula. And this is the finished look. And outside of my the eye look, these products are what I use every day or every time I do my makeup. These are the products that I'm using. Is pretty much everything I showed you. We'll use like different blushes, and I have some different highlighters, and I have a couple different bronzers, but for the most part, like, these are the products that I use, and this is the way I apply them and the order I put them on. So I hope that this was helpful for someone. But this is just what I do. This is my current routine. If you have any recommendations for drugstore makeup for beginners, then definitely leave them in the comments. Leave your suggestions in the comments. But I did forget to mention that when I was doing my bronzer application, I forgot to mention like other bronzers that you can get. So some other options are, oh, and I do really like this bronzer. But if you don't feel like shopping online, you want to just pick something up from the drugstore, some good options, a couple good options are the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I've tried that and I really like it. I think it's really beginner friendly because you just it's easy to blend out. It takes some effort to make it look too heavy. Like, it's just a really easy bronzer to work with. And then I've also heard really good things about the L'Oreal bronzer. I haven't tried that one, but I've heard a lot of good things. So I think that you would probably like either of those. And ColourPop you can get from Target and Ulta. And basically everything else I've just gotten from Walmart. Well, except this I got from Ulta. I will link everything I can down below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, I hope that someone found it helpful or at least entertaining. But if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!